Great. So again, welcome everyone to the Accelerating Climate Resilience Municipal Grant Program webinar. Today's August 21st. We're gonna go over some information regarding the FY24 invitation for proposal. There'll be some questions and answers at the end, as well as some information that we can share with you today as well. So before we started, my name is Van. I'm representing the Environment Department here at MAPC, and I'm also the manager of this Accelerating Climate Resilience Program. Here are the other Stellar Project team members of the programs that you can also connect with as well. Kat and Elisa, if you want to wave, they're also on the call as well. So again, here's the agenda for today. In the first part of the presentation, I will go over the ACR program and priorities, details on this year FY24 invitation for proposals and application form. We'll leave a few minutes after the first part for questions and answer about the program, logistics, requirements, and things like that. And then for the second half, I will go over some available resources, share project examples with you, and some tips for enhancing your application. We'll aim to get you out of here by 1 o'clock. Nobody should be on a call for more than an hour, but me and my team will hang out a little bit until 1:30 for anyone who has questions or would like to discuss more about the grant program. Okay, so quick program overview. You can also check out in more details about the grant programs on its homepage. One of my team members will drop the link in the chat. This is generously funded by the Bar Foundation. The Accelerating Climate Resilience Program is now in its 4th year. It's very popular, and we're thankful for that. And we're just really grateful to see a lot of great proposals, project ideas that are happening in the region. The program is designed to support municipalities with implementing mid-size climate resilience projects that will also lead to long-term changes and readiness for climate change impacts. Through these climate projects, MAPC hopes to advance equity, regional coordination, and social cohesion as well. So, as many of you may be familiar with, this grant program has 9 priorities. Similar to previous grant rounds, we are looking for projects that address at least one of the following priorities areas listed on here. Nature-based solutions for climate resilience, such as green infrastructure, climate-smart parks, urban forestry, floodplain protection, and restoration of natural systems. Municipal climate resilience policy, such as including considerations of climate resilience in your existing regulations, zoning, permitting, inspectional services, innovative financing or infrastructure investment program models, capacity building through municipal staffing or climate coalitions, convening such as stormwater partnerships, regional climate networks, or watershed-based climate resilience initiatives. And we have funded a few projects previously, so there are definitely examples that you can look at and folks to talk to as well. Next, contributions to social resilience or cohesion, such as public space improvements, dialogues, gathering, training programs, and public health improvements, particular for populations or neighborhoods vulnerable to climate change. We're also prioritizing projects that combine climate adaptation with mitigation action. So looking for the synergy in those two camps. And then local food systems or community agricultural resilience measures, district scale climate resilience pilot that are scalable and replicable. And of course, innovative public outreach, engagement, and education efforts, including artistic, cultural, and/or creative projects that advance climate change knowledge or actions. So just to name some examples along those 9 priority areas. And here are some example of what it means to think about climate action, what constitutes as climate mitigation versus adaptation and preparedness work here. Many of you are probably familiar with this, but this diagram hopefully helped to give you a sense of how to distinguish between mitigation and adaptation work. And of course, we don't want to miss the opportunity to remind you folks about emphasizing on centering equity in your climate planning and implementation projects. So in this case, we also look at projects that will advance climate equity. Again, climate equity, thinking about the different social factors and inequities and how not everyone may be affected equally by the impacts of climate change. So with that, we're going to build into the evaluation criteria as well. And many of you may have seen these questions before in the project work that we collaborate with your municipalities. They're typically what we pose in the work that we do in our projects. And we encourage you to do the same when thinking about your project planning and implementation, these questions. It's always just a good practice to ask, and in your communications, in your decision-making, and your collaborations with community members. And then I want to share with you the second piece of the ACR grant programs, which is the resilience community of practice. As part of ACR, grantees also become part of a network for peer-to-peer learning. So the idea is that we're building a platform for grantees to work together to talk through, address, and hopefully come up with solutions, sharing with each other to reduce barriers. We'll also develop formal and informal spaces for difficult conversations around planning, decision-making, around what project implementation, best practice, challenges. And in the past, we have successfully hosted in-person site visits of some of the grant projects as well. And those have always been really fun to get to see folks in person. And we'll be planning to do so again in hybrid or in in-person format as allowed. And then the last piece of the grant program, this one is open to everyone in the public. We invite experts and practitioners from across the country to come together, share conversations with us, and explore topics related to climate resilience. It can be innovative or just kind of things that has come up in the communities. So stay tuned. The next one that we'll be hosting is actually on September 7th. This is hot off the press. There'll be September 7th, and the conversation will be around building social resilience with microgrids projects. So we'll be sending out more informations and registration details soon. So, and if you have any suggestions about topics and things like that, please feel free to send them to us as well. We always welcome ideas and something that you're looking forward to. All right, so getting to something that you all probably are here waiting for, the invitation proposal for FY24. So the application form is live on the homepage. The link is on the page as well, but also in the chat. The deadline to submit your application is on September 15th by 5 p.m. For this grant round, we are looking for just 1 year grant project. And we're expecting to fund up to $50,000 per project. So up to $50,000 per project. And eligible project types include technical assistance or design, such as designing or developing climate zoning improvements or recommendations. That's one example. We're also thinking about capacity building initiatives, such as seeding a climate resilience network, coalitions, or even supporting existing groups' priority initiatives or actions that you have identified. And of course, capital projects. This one may be a little bit more challenging, I'm going to admit, for a 1 year project, but maybe it's something that you have already started and this can help supplement the capital projects that you're already doing. Capital projects we think about such as flood-proofing infrastructure, climate smart park, green infrastructure installation, things like that. So we are open to innovative and creative ideas. So think big, think bold. We would love to see new ideas coming in that can be, replicated in other part of your communities and or in the region as well. And here's the here's a grant project timeline when we're awarding contracting and for implementation. So all, deadline is September 15. We're going to go back and review and evaluate awarded projects. Will get notified in November, and then all projects will start and end from January to December of 2024. During that time, we're expecting a mid-year progress report in June and a final report in December. And throughout the years, we'll be hosting resilience community practice where we'll get to know more, but we're anticipating and expecting the municipality staff participation in there as well. And here's a snapshot of the evaluation criteria that our technical review team will use to evaluate the proposals that we'll receive. In the past, preference was given to projects that demonstrate that community that will be affected by the project has a leadership role in decision-making or in implementation, projects that build social cohesion or connections between and within community members through developing community-based assets, dialogues, networks, resources, etc. And of course, projects that advance regional or multi-jurisdictional collaborations, supporting that. And then in terms of thinking about the planning process or the process for proposal and review, we're here, the ACR core team, me, Kat, Lisa, Francelis, and Kristen are here to support you if you have any questions about the logistics and submissions of the grant application. Unfortunately, the expression of interest period was over, but that was the time. Just something for you to keep a heads up next time around. That's when we can really help dive in and provide feedback on project proposal ideas that you have coming up with. We received a lot of expression of interest this year, so we're very excited and hopeful to see a lot of applications coming in. They're really great, and it was such a pleasure talking to a lot of folks within the 2-week time frame that we were able to host that as well. And so, as I mentioned, the technical review team include representatives from different departments at MAPC, and they will be the one who get together to review and evaluate and provide final recommendations to the leadership team here at MAPC, who will make the decision about final grant selection. Great. So I'm going to pause for a quick minute to see if anyone has any questions in the chat that I should be answering. Let me see. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand, come off mute, and we can have a quick dialogue as well. Yes, the PowerPoint presentation will be available on the website for downloading after this webinar. The webinar will also be recorded. Questions about the logistics and requirements of the grant program? Okay. All right. So with that, I will move forward and talk a little bit more about some of the suggestions of project examples that might be appropriate for one-year grant projects. Some of these have also been previously funded. So we're more than happy to connect you with the project managers or the folks involved in the projects for, questions. And you can totally do that, on your own as well. So first, some of the project examples on municipal resilient zoning, regulations, financing. We're talking about green infrastructure and zoning. MAPC has developed a resource page on climate resilience land use strategies that include regulatory language and policy examples that you can also take a look at to see what other municipalities in the MAPC region have done as well. Thinking about how to integrate climate resilience language into your existing regulatory language and things like that. So one thing to keep in mind with this one, we have funded 1 year and 2 year duration for this type of projects before. So I just want to be cautious and keep in mind that if, be very careful about the timeline. This grant round will be from January to December. And so you need to think about if there's adoption of the language, if there are community engagement involved in the language updates and things like that. Make sure to build that into the timeline and be realistic about what is feasible and what you can accomplish in the 12-month time frame here. Again, we mentioned earlier, exploring synergies between climate adaptation and mitigations and any co-benefits. Some of the projects that we have funded in the past related to building a community microgrid. Chelsea, the city of Chelsea, have been really leading the chart, thinking about, how to really pilot these microgrid projects. Where, thinking about locations, how is it benefiting the priority populations that they have identified in their community. Improving social resiliency or resilience or cohesion. Town of Brookline piloted a Tech Buddies program to support low-income seniors during the pandemic and after actually, and they did a great job providing kind of enhancing the language access, the training, really supporting and providing the technical aspects of things, internet access for the communities. And this project actually was able to get more funding post-ACR grant to continue long-term as well. In Medford, they have started, and so this grant helped them continue the work to build some of the resilient hubs concept, working with community members to really pilot and or expand their resilient hubs concept. So that was really good to see. And I don't know if we have a link, but if you go to Medford homepage, I'm sure you can find also all the available resources and guidance and report coming out of this work. And then of course, outreach marketing projects that promote arts and with, and the connections to climate change, knowledge and actions. One of the work in Somerville is thinking about heat preparedness, and then and their title is Colorwood Art, so how to combine that to really help support the communities, thinking about rising temperatures. In Arlington, a couple grant rounds earlier, they proposed working with high school students to develop these mile markers to help really, they're really thought-provoking and really help thinking about, what climate change would look like in some of the key years they have identified as part of their climate planning efforts. And of course, food systems program to support technological advances for local farmers, for distributions, building coalitions, community-based coalitions. Two of the projects, one is out of the city of Boston in collaborations with the Food Forest Coalition. One is out of the community farm in the city of Salem. And so those are the two. I encourage you to look at the previously funded projects on our homepage and check out more details there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, again, capacity building through coalitions or convening. I think almost in every round there was a some sort of coalitions forming or building on priority actions for an existing coalitions or network specifically to really think through about climate resilience implementation work. And of course, there are more. So in the application form, if you look at Appendix C, we have started to craft some from the previously funded, or some are just kind of ideas for you to take a look through for some of the ideas if you're thinking about what is eligible for the ACR grant. And then, of course, here are some tools and resources available on MAPC website for your consideration. I think some of them have included link in the invitation for proposal as well. Just something for you to think about as you put your applications together to help prompt, alignment your projects with the 9 priorities, as well as our emphasis, MAPC's emphasis on equity considerations. Many of you or your communities have probably completed the MVP planning program. In fact, I think you all did in the MAPC region. And so you're familiar with the process of assessing exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity of your community, specific areas or neighborhoods. So be sure to reference the findings in your MVP report. And in addition to that, MAPC has constructed a regional climate vulnerability index, as shown here, to demonstrate how communities are vulnerable to specific climate hazards, how some may be more vulnerable than others. And so this mapping tool combines the social demographic, public health, housing, workforce data with the climate exposure data. And so this can be helpful for you to identify which populations, neighborhoods, communities in your municipality that should be centered in climate preparedness and resilience work. If you do use this, there'll be questions as you see in the application forms. This will help you address and provide more detail with that. But of course, this is not strictly the only tool you should use. If there has been feasibility studies, assessment done within your municipalities that you can draw data from, please use those as well. This is not limited to like you have to use this or nothing at all. We just want to make sure that you're considering all of these elements in your application. And again, with the impacts of climate change not equally distributed, so think about the engagement activities that you want to propose in your project. Be thoughtful, comprehensive, and also think about, beyond just the climate champions in your communities. Are there any folks that you have not heard from that you would like to take advantage of this opportunity to connect, to collaborate with them, get their buy-in? And MAPC has some engagement resources here. Many were developed in response to the additional needs during COVID-19, but a lot of these has been proven that it's working, it's effective. And then there's also the framework for equity documents that our clean energy team has put together to kind of really dive into how to make connection with the climate work that you do. And so it details the existing inequities within a community and how your climate actions can really help draw some solutions to that. All right, and then some final parting word from our team is some tips and tricks here. So as a regional planning agency, we welcome and really encourage regional collaborations. Thinking about your neighboring towns. Are there shared services, kind of share issues and challenges that you can convene, talk together, and come up with a climate project. So thinking about the existing municipal planning efforts, definitely don't want you to reinvent the wheel in any way. And so how can this grant help advance the implementation of those planning efforts through the lens of equity, through the lens of climate solution? Project readiness and capacities are also important, and the more you can share in terms of the partnership that you have identified and secure, the better. We really encourage you to be in conversations with community-based organizations in your community, who will probably play a detrimental role in kind of your engagement work. Probably, I'm suspecting. For those who are part of community-based organizations on the call, at this point, it has to be a municipality that is the lead applicant. And so if you are from a CBOs, a nonprofit, from a community members or a neighborhood, we really encourage you to have a conversation with municipal staff to pitch your ideas, to really get them to collaborate and come up with a project proposal. And of course, we don't want to work in silos. So, in years past, we have funded projects that also receive other grant funding, such as MVP projects, BRIC projects, as long as you can detail how this grant can help supplement or support any of the additional elements that in the larger grants that you have applied for and awarded. We're definitely open to considerations on that as well. I know there's a lot of federal and state funding available right now, so probably trying to get all your ducks in a row. That is something you want to consider. And of course, community support can make or break a project. I know in years past, our technical review team really look at, how is this project being supported by community groups, community members. So making sure to provide that in the narrative is helpful. Letter of supports and commitments are not required, but always helpful to see because it really demonstrate and indicate to us of, of the community support, and this project is not going to get turned upside down, or, ensuring the longevity and viability of the project beyond the grant funding round is also helpful to know as well. And again, equity, centering equities, the more you can stress it, the more you can really thought through it, the better and the stronger your application will be. And for me, most importantly, be clear about your proposed deliverables. At the end of the day, it's really nice to have a concept, but knowing that this grant is only 1 year, 12 months long, at the end of the day, it will be, so what? What are we funding you for? And so to be able to detail, what is the outcome, either the first phase of a larger project or something, whatever it is, we need to kind of know in specific, what is it that's going to be produced by December 2024. Okay. There are a lot of informations out there. Again, any questions? Okay, there are some questions. Is fiscal sponsorship allowed? I'm not really sure what that means. So whoever asked that question, do you want to come off mute and clarify?
Hi, yes, I'm Dr. Sandy with the Grandmother's Village Project. We're building an eco-sustainable eco-village for elders, and with a regenerative permaculture farm, the whole 9 yards, and a retreat center. But we are currently under fiscal sponsorship and wanted to know if that's allowed in applying for this funding.
Again, currently it has to be a municipality that lead the applications, and so that's a conversation you should have with your community, your municipality, and so they would be the one to apply for the grant.
Okay, so okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Can you select multiple type of projects in one application? For example, selecting both capacity and technical assistance. Absolutely, yes. And again, it's in how you provide the narrative and and justify why it is part of it may be the engagement. For example, is capacity building, whether it's internal or external for your community. And then there might be the planning technical assistant part of it needed. And so you can definitely do that. Let's see, is this grant program restricted to MAPC municipalities? Can a climate group applicant be a membership across our PPA catchment areas? Currently, this grant program is only available for municipalities in the MAPC region, so you're correct on that. Again, at least one municipality has to be a lead applicant. I need to follow up with you afterward regarding if there might be a coalition of existing coalitions or something like that, that might include municipalities outside of the MAPC region as well. That's something I need to look more into. We haven't had that before, to be completely honest, but I'll definitely can follow up with you on that. Can a municipality submit multiple project proposals, like from different departments or just one? You can submit as many project proposals as you would like. You'll see in the application form, it is not meant to be, cumbersome, but it is a lot of detail. And so this grant, luckily, fortunately, it has always been very competitive. So you want to be very thoughtful and detailed. But ultimately, a municipality can submit as many project proposals as you would like. You can also submit as a lead applicant in one and participate in another proposal if it's like a regional, multi-jurisdictional kind of proposal as well. There's no limit. You'll be competing against each other, obviously. Any other questions? All right.
And someone asked, is the school department a municipal organization that can apply?
Yes, I believe so. Typically, unless it's a private school, most public school system is part of like the municipal departments and things like that too. So yes, they can be a lead applicant. We have received some of the questions from registration before. For example, one question is, are sustainable transportation programs eligible for this funding? I can't tell you yes or no because I don't know what that exactly means. So if you can justify how it fit into the 3 project types that I've talked earlier, as well as how it aligns with the 9 program priorities, you can definitely apply. Again, just to reiterate that it has to be from a municipality in an MAPC area at this point. So if we haven't had any transportation focused project, doesn't mean that we're not counting it out. So if you are thinking about it, definitely would love to see what that project ideas could look like. Okay. Anything else, Kat or Lisa, in the chat? I think.
Someone was asking about the proportion of applicants versus awards.
Proportion of applicants in award versus award.
How many projects we're anticipating funding this year?
Yeah, so we are expecting to fund between 10 and 12. Again, they're 1-year project up to $50,000. So it really is depending on how many proposals and how much are requested from each of these projects as well. In years years past, I can share with you, we receive between, as high as 40 and so between mid 30s to 40 projects each round. And we have funded, I think 10 or 11 projects for each round. How much time might I have to dedicate to our COP, Resilience Community of Practice? Is it flexible? Grantees will be required to participate in the Resilience Community of Practice meetings, and they are designed to be bi-monthly. And if awarded, we'll work through kind of, I think, 4 to 6 meetings and or with site visits and things like that. It is completely flexible. It's meant to be a place for you to come and ask questions, to really be part of the conversations, get project updates, share your project updates. So in a way it is required, but we hope that it's fun and informative enough that you will really want to just show up every time. And it's always fun to have the chance to connect with your fellow grantees. And so with that, the requirement really is that this is why the municipal staff leading the project needs to be part of the conversation. But also community-based organizations or key partners are also invited to be part of our COP as well, whether through site visits or at meetings. We welcome all of that. Interesting question. If a municipality was awarded ACR funding in a previous round, would that make the proposal less competitive in this round of funding? Absolutely not. We're here looking for innovative project ideas that are replicable, scalable, and to be able to be shared with with municipalities in the region. So we welcome all of the different project ideas that will be coming in. Is it possible for us to contact someone else, someone who has been a part of the program before, previous grantee? Yes, absolutely. Check out the previously funded projects. And their organizations and municipality name listed. So reach out to them. From what I've heard and seen when I make the connections, everyone is really happy and more than welcome to talk about their projects. And if you need to make that connections, I'm happy to be that liaison role as well. So yes, I encourage you, reach out, learn about, what would they have done differently? What are some of the best practices? The more you can refine your projects, the better. Okay. You can also come off mute if you would like to speak as well. All right. Well, if you don't have any more questions, or if you think about any questions after this, unfortunately, like I mentioned, we cannot discuss what your project ideas at this point, but the application's already live. But if you have any questions regarding the logistical or requirements of the grants, please feel free to email me at vdu@mapc.org. I'll drop that in the chat as well. My email is also on the homepage. And here are just a couple MAPC happenings that I also want to take this opportunity to share with you. So this week, MAPC is hosting a heat preparedness week. I'm including here the agenda of the daily activities that you can check out as well. These will highlight the public health impacts of extreme heat and climate change. Maybe some of these sessions might prompt or help some of your project ideas. Perhaps topics of discussion include things like irregular weather patterns, increased air pollution, increased risk of infectious diseases. And we just hope that the series will provide opportunities for community-based organizations and municipalities to build more resources and raise awareness on heat issues. I don't think anyone can forget the very wet yet very humid and hot summer that we're enduring so far. And also MAPC, sorry, one more thing about this is that there is also a newly developed climate and health page that also highlighted projects that that shows intersections of climate and health. There's a health prep research briefs as well. So someone will drop the link in the chat, but check it out. There will be some resources there for you to think about and to check out as well. And then MAPC is celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We want to acknowledge this major milestone by hosting a special event on September 21st. And we would love to have you there to celebrate with us. So register and reserve your spot. If you have questions, you can email 60thanniversary@mapc.org. Someone will drop that in the link as well. And we would love to see you. I hope to see you there. We'll have some project highlights, I believe, as well as some other fun activities to engage you with. All right. Well, if no more questions, feel free to sign out. But thank you so much for attending today's webinar. Really lovely to see many of you and to hear some of your questions. Again, if you have any questions related to the logistics and requirements of the grant, don't hesitate to reach out via email. Thank you. Stop sharing. I am also staying on. We can stop recording now, but I can stay on for another 15-20 minutes or so if you have any specific questions or anything you would like to talk to me about.